And again, welcome everyone. It's good to have you joining today. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the ATCC panel who will be presenting today. And I believe, Jeff Kelly, you will be starting off. Is that correct?
It is, Diane. Thank you very much. And
Okay, and if
glad
you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A and we'll get those answered at the end. Not the chat, but the Q&A.
Thanks, Diane. And
Thank you.
thanks to all of you who have come back and stuck with us throughout this process. This is the fourth and so far final episode of our webinar series on the various aspects of the alcohol industry in the state of Maryland, hopefully cracking a little bit of the code or the mystery so you can see how things are run from the beginning, manufacturing, to the part where the rubber meets the road, which is product being purchased by consumers. So Mike, let's go ahead and advance this slide if we could, please. So to give you a sense of what we're going to talk about today, we'll spend just a couple of minutes going over what our history has been so far getting here, what our last couple of webinars have been about. Then we're going to explain in some more detail the retail tier itself. We have some outstanding retail license holders here as guests to make presentations and answer some questions for you. And then, of course, once we've done all of that, we make ourselves, all of us will be available to you for any questions you might have. As Diane said, please put those in the Q&A, and then we'll wrap things up. And really grateful for everybody who's been attending and has been faithful. Appreciate that. So let's go ahead and just get started with a quick overview of where we've been. You may recall back in the end of January, we started with just a general overview of what alcohol looks like in Maryland. And we went to some detail to explain our three tiers. There's a manufacturing tier, there's a wholesaling tier, and now today we're going to talk about the retail tier. Manufacturers in Maryland make the product for us. Then they are only allowed, generally speaking, to sell to a wholesaler of some sort or a distributor. Our distributors are licensed by us as well. Both the manufacturers and the distributors are licensed by us at the ATCC. And then for those people who want to get involved in their community, want to start a business, engage with people, which is, again, really the whole point of why we're manufacturing and distributing, is to get it to our retailers. That's what we're going to talk about today in some level of detail. Mike? And this is just to give you a sense, and it's probably the same image you've been seeing throughout, because all of the rest of what we do at the ATCC exists to support Andrew Waters and his entire team, which is about licensing and research and trade practices and reporting. We all exist to support them. Their job is to support our entrepreneurs, anybody who's interested in having a license in the state. You can advance. Quick commercial. I mentioned this before when we last met in May, that we were very, very close to launching an entirely online system for applying. It's open. It started on June 11th. It's been very successful. So if anybody is interested in beginning with us, even if you're an existing licensee, you should start moving your account over to this online system. You'll create your own account online. You'll be able to communicate with us online. You'll be able to make payments. You'll be able to do reporting online. The license application you'll be able to enter your data online. And the beauty of that is you won't be able to advance if you're not doing it correctly. So you'll know right away. You won't need to mail it in and have somebody call you later or send you an email. You're going to know right away that something isn't right. So it'll speed up your ability to get licensed even more quickly and permitted as well. So please go to One Stop, take a look at it. If you are a current licensee, start an account. If you think you want to become a licensee, start an account. And we'll be able to act through that. But it's a very good system. And it's all part of trying to be a little more business friendly and put the control back in your hands and not leave it into just the bureaucracy of snail mail and other people. So please advance. So today we're going to talk, as we mentioned, about the retail tier. And one thing that, well, let me go one more slide, Mike, because this one really kind of illustrates it. In Maryland, there are 23 different counties. Each of these counties has their own liquor board relative to retail licenses. And when I say retail licenses, I mean restaurants who sell alcohol, bars and taverns, packaged goods stores. All of those licenses come from each local jurisdiction. There are 23 local jurisdictions, and there's Baltimore City and Annapolis City. So a total of 25. They each have their own liquor boards. They each have their own sets of rules and regulations on how they operate. But at the end of the day, if you want to be a retailer of some sort in your jurisdiction, you have to go through the local board. to get those licenses. So as we mentioned earlier, and to underscore, the ATCC will issue a license if you want to be a manufacturer, if you want to be a wholesaler, and a variety of permits for things. But if you want to be a retailer, you have to go to your local board. You can't do that through our one stop, unfortunately. However, I like to say that we are a great place for you to stop first to learn about this, because we will help you and we will guide you. And we have a lot of incredibly talented people here who have broad experiences. And the gentleman I'm going to ask to speak in just a moment or so to go through this retail tier is Tom Akris. Tom is currently the legislative director, our legislative and legal services director for the ATCC. But even more so, in a past life, and not too long ago, he was the executive deputy secretary of the Baltimore City Liquor Board. And they have hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 licensees. So he's got a lot of experience helping entrepreneurs become licensees, helping them navigate what might seem a little bit tricky, or at least cumbersome perhaps, or even just scary. He can help them navigate. He takes joy in getting you to where you want to be. So Tom, I'm going to ask you if you would take it from here and kind of walk us through that retail area. And as I said to everyone earlier, rather than have to get you with 25 different boards, I'm bringing you on Tom because Tom's an in-house expert, which again makes us what I hope is your one-stop shop for any questions you have about the alcohol industry. We're here to help, and we think we have some of that experience. So Tom, please take it away.
Thank you very much for that very generous welcome. Happy to be here. I'm Tom Akris. I'm the director of the Legal and Legislative Division here at the ATCC. And while I've been here since 2022, I've really enjoyed helping and supporting our manufacturers, our distributors run their businesses here. The retail industry always has a special place in my heart. It was one of the great joys, and still is one of the great joys of my career, when I wake up every day and I play a part in the process of having that business owner open for shop, sell products, hire folks, and really be a net positive for the community. So we're going to jump into some of the things that entrepreneurs out there who are interested in getting to the retail industry have to go through in order to get to the other side of retail, because like anything else, as Director Kelly said, it is a process. And at the local level, all of these processes are different depending on what jurisdiction you're in. Next slide, please, Mike. So just as a baseline, if you're interested in becoming a restaurant, a retail packaged goods store, or a bar or a tavern, you're going to have to make a physical application with your local liquor board. Now, some liquor boards will accept those applications online. Others still take paper form that you have to submit in person and or via mail. Now, these applications will require you, for the most part, all across the state of Maryland, you need to have a Maryland resident at the time of application. You need to maintain a Maryland resident at the time of application throughout the duration of your license, generally. You're also going to have to identify if the license that you're purchasing, and there are a couple ways to get licenses out there. In the retail market, you can either apply for a new license, and there are certain criteria for that. For instance, with restaurants, there's certain seating capacity, certain capital investment, certain food sales that you need to make, and those are new licenses that you could apply for. And the other way to get licenses are purchasing a license on the open market. Those are called transfers of licenses. And you can transfer a license at its current location, or you can transfer a license and move it to another location as long as you're permitted to do so by law. And a lot of that depends on not only jurisdiction by jurisdiction, but also legislative district or election district, depending on the counties that you're in. So really, your go-to place at the beginning of all this is contacting your local liquor board to find out their FAQs, their do's and don'ts, the things that you need to do to make application to be a successful license holder. Now, as part of that, there's going to be zoning requirements. You need to make sure that your property that you want to have a licensed establishment at is zoned for the use. There are certain restrictions that you can have, certain restrictions that prohibit an alcoholic beverages establishment being in a residential area or an industrial area. And that's really, again, the local zoning code that you really need to be aware of. And then filing things like articles of incorporation or articles of organization, depending on what your business entity or your sole proprietorship, depending on what the business entity that owns the license, how that structure is. And now licenses in the state of Maryland are issued to people. So those people that have licenses, they're the individuals that are held responsible for any kind of violations. And I'm going to let Jeff Herndon kind of touch on that, our director of the Field Enforcement Division, touch on that later on. But once you send your application in, and the folks at the local liquor board deem it to be complete and ready for a board hearing, you're ready to move to the next step. And you can only move to that next step once you get that preliminary approval. Usually most local boards are not going to schedule your license application for hearing unless you meet all of those criteria. Next slide, please, Mike. So one of those criteria, and it's a big criteria, is the posting of the property. We've seen this develop over the last couple of years because for years you would have to physically post the property and you would have to advertise in a newspaper of general circulation. And depending on what county you were living in or applying for, you could have to advertise in 2 newspapers of general circulation or 3 newspapers of general circulation. We've seen that change over the years. We're now seeing a lot of local jurisdictions say either advertise in 1 a newspaper of general circulation or advertise online and or post on the board's website. To familiarize yourself with the specific posting notice requirements within your jurisdiction, I would advise you to contact your local board so that they can provide you with that information. But the property must be posted and there must be some kind of notice to the public. Those are the things that the board wants to see before it's going to hear the case. Because when it hears the case, it's in a public setting and they want to provide as much notice as possible to the general public before the liquor license application is heard. And with that, I would ask for the next slide, Mike. So attending the public hearing, this one is a big one. And so unlike the state licenses, all of the retail licenses require some type of public hearing before the board and commission. And if you remember at the opening, Jeff stated that all of these different boards and commissions really address these license applications in a different manner. It's very, very true. In some jurisdictions, you have the county council or the county commission as the board in which you would be presenting in front of. In other boards and commissions, you have either local county executives get to select the board members, or the governor can appoint board members in other jurisdictions. So the board or commission you're going to be in front of is going to be both appointed and has different powers all across the board. So you just really need to know what your county is, what jurisdiction you're presenting in front of. So once you get to the public hearing, there'll be a board, either 3 or 5. They try to keep it an odd number of board members so that they can vote with a majority to either approve or deny the license. And once you get to the hearing, you may or may not have representation. Now, I can't speak for any of the applicants out there, but I have seen in my experience, and I've handled overseen hundreds, if not thousands, of transfer applications and new applications before the Baltimore City Liquor Board, and it was always beneficial to those applicants if they weren't very well versed in the alcoholic beverages law, and some are, to have some kind of representation, whether that is a lawyer or another individual representing them before a board of commission to shepherd their application through the process. So once you get to hearing day, you're going to present all of your application before the board. And the board is going to want to make sure all of those criteria, the preliminary criteria, the zoning, the fire, all of those other things, they all receive those check marks before they get to the board. But the board's going to ask specific questions. They're going to ask about the relationship, or they could ask about the relationship between the owner and the establishment where it's located. Do they live in the jurisdiction? How long have they been in the business of serving alcoholic beverages? Have they, at one point in their career, been a licensee before? Have they had any prior violations while they were a license holder? What is the fitness and character of the license holder? They're going to also look at things, and I see here where it says board reviews your application. That section there, 4-210, that's really the specific section in the law that identifies all the criteria that the board will look at whether to approve or deny a license. And I'm not going to deep dive into those specifics. You can always contact me. My contact information is you can find at the end of this presentation. I can always provide you with information, but I'm just generally speaking, these are the things that the board are looking for, those general characteristics of your application to determine if the applicant and the business should be approved. Either you're transferring a location or it's in a new location or you're just transferring ownership. And that's because liquor license holders who don't necessarily follow the law could potentially have a negative impact on the communities that surround them. And so the board is very aware of the concerns from the community before they issue a license. And to that end, once you provide all the information you put your testimony on, there are other members of the community that also get an opportunity to speak on the license as to the desire of the community for a license. And there could be community associations, there could be general members of the public, there could be other stakeholders that may want to have a say either for or against the license. And what I would say to you or any prospective business owner out there is before you're putting in your application or while you're putting in your application, liquor license application with the local board, contact the community. I could not say this more than enough. The board is going to look at what your contacts are. Have you presented a plan? And do you have community support for this venture? Because the board takes into very serious consideration what, if any, community input the applicant has pursued prior to coming before the board for the hearing. So I would star that, underline that. If you have any questions about that, again, you can ask me during the Q&A or afterwards. And if you go through this process, and if you get approved by the board, that's a great thing. But if you're approved by the board, that is preliminary approval. That does not mean, and I've seen this many times over, where we have license holders, applicants who are so excited to open their business, so excited about their plan. And I'm with you. As a regulator, we want to see, these businesses open and operate and thrive. But there are just a few more steps you need to follow before you get to the next step. So with that, I would say, please go to the next slide, Mike. And here we are at the next slide, preparing to open your business. So you've got that approval letter in hand, you're ready to go. Why can't you open? Well, guess what? There's probably a number of things that you still need to do before you are considered legitimate to open and operate. First, you're probably going to need to get some extra permits if you haven't gotten them already. A lot of our restaurants, and you're going to be speaking to two great restaurant and retail owners, in Kelly O'Brien and Jeryl Cole, will offer, outdoor table service or live entertainment. And these are ancillary privileges to your liquor license. So usually most boards, because they're not zoning boards, can't issue you the ability to just generally have outdoor table service and live entertainment. What they do have the ability to do is for you to offer alcoholic beverages with that outdoor table service and with that live entertainment. And so that's what the liquor board will do. So you need to make sure that you have all of those approvals, whether they're the zoning permits and use and occupancy permits, usually a use and occupancy permit that will list all of your privileges to include live entertainment and outdoor table service. There's also catering as well, with some ancillary services, and we'll go over that a little bit later, but all of those privileges need to be marked, whether they're on your use and occupancy permit or your health department permit. Now, you've got your permits. You've actually been, issued a license in hand. So once you get all of your permits, you're going to go to the liquor board. They're going to review all the permits that you have, and then they're going to give you your license. And now you have that license in hand, and you're ready to go. At that point, you can go to your business. You can open up shop. But wait a minute, unless you've transferred you're done a transfer of ownership and you have existing stock that's left over from that prior transfer, and we'll go over bulk permits in a little bit, you need to buy some alcohol. It just doesn't magically appear, and that's where you're going to be dealing with our Maryland wholesalers, and or Maryland manufacturers that have self-distribution authority. And so that's when, that's a touch point for us too, in terms of the ATCC, is when you become a retailer, you want to find out what are the products out there. Who are the people that sell these products? And we can identify and help connect you with those licensed wholesalers and manufacturers. And now I want to underline that word license, because sometimes we get a lot of retailers who just open up their businesses and they are so excited to open up that they may purchase from another retailer or somebody that they're not supposed to purchase from because they want to open up. That's not allowed, and we'll go over that a little bit later, but come to us, the ATCC. We'll give you a list of licensed wholesalers. We'll give you a list of the licensed retailers. We'll even tell you about the Beverage Journal, which actually identifies all of the products and all of the wholesalers and distributors in the state of Maryland who can service and provide you with those alcoholic beverages. So I harp on the buy only from approved sources, because as a local regulator, and now here with the state level, I saw a lot of issues that retailers ran into when they were not buying from approved sources. So I really, that and age gating when you're selling, sell to only folks that present ID and are over 21 years of age. That's another thing that we'll get into later, but those are the two big things that I say from the regulator standpoint. Once you get your license, you need to really be thinking about. And then once, as I said, once you have those permits in place, you're ready to go. You're ready to open for business. And that's, where your local liquor board can come in and be, really that supportive regulatory agency to answer your day-to-day questions on retail best practices, alcohol awareness, permits and things like that, which we'll talk about soon. But next slide, Mike. I think at this point, I'm handing it back to Jeff to talk about all those ancillary services we mentioned earlier.
Thanks, Tom. And hey, before you go, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Before you go, you talked about residency. Could you just expound a little bit on how that's changed over the years from being really jurisdictional residency to statewide residency?
Sure, that's a great question. So if you may or may not know this, but the only commodity that's in the Constitution, a part of the Constitution and amendments to the Constitution, is alcohol. And that's the 21st Amendment, which provided states with a lot of power over how alcohol gets distributed in the state of Maryland. And for years and years and years, part of that power were states required that license holders be residents of not only the state, but actually of the jurisdiction. So a resident of Baltimore City or Baltimore County for a set time period prior to getting licensure. So in Baltimore City, for example, you had to be a resident for 2 years prior to application before you actually could apply for a liquor license in the city of Baltimore. In 2019, there was a Supreme Court case. I think it was Tennessee versus I can't remember, and it's escaping me now. But in the back of my head, I will come up with it. But there was a Supreme Court case in 2019 that essentially said, hey, you know what? Residency requirements are a bridge too far. You can't require folks to have elongated residency in your state prior to becoming a liquor license applicant, because having such requirements is a violation of the Commerce Clause. So we've seen over the last 90 years, a lot of jurisprudence related to alcoholic beverages provide a very broad authority to states, and kind of stepping that authority back over the last maybe 20 years. We saw it with direct wine shipments with Granholm. We saw it with this Tennessee case in 2019. And we're seeing it small in these certain areas of direct, to consumer delivery and things of that nature, where the courts are really wrestling with how looking at residency. I say all of that to say it's got a long history. And right now, where we are is be a Maryland resident at the time of application for a retail license, and you are good to go.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. And I'm going to follow up with a couple of other questions. So I have a retail license, but I think maybe I'd like to open up another place. May I?
It depends on the retail license that you have. For instance, generally speaking, an individual can't be on more than one retail license within that jurisdiction. However, there are a number of exceptions to that rule. if you have a Class B restaurant license, depending on the jurisdiction that you're in, you could be on multiple licenses. In addition, there are some jurisdictions which will allow you to be on other various package licenses, but they're very specific into the types of package licenses and off-premise licenses. So generally speaking, no, but there are exceptions to every rule. And that's one of the interesting things we talked about with the alcoholic beverages article, is that it's not a one size fits all. Every jurisdiction has their own rules and regulations when it comes to licensure. So it's very important, if you're trying to get a license, go to your local boards. They're your best resource to understand exactly the restrictions that apply to you.
Thank you, Tom. One last thing, if I might. Earlier in our earlier webinars, we've indicated that when you apply for a statewide license, you apply for a manufacturer or a wholesale license, if you qualify, if you don't disqualify yourself, if for some reason you're ineligible and you meet all of the basic requirements, you get the license. There's no cap on how many can be issued in the state. What does that exist at the local level as well for retail licenses?
Actually, that's a great question. There actually are caps that exists at the local level for certain types of retail licenses. I'll give you it comes to mind in St. Mary's County this year, they passed legislation which raised the cap of population to allow for certain retail establishment licenses to be issued. In Baltimore City, there's also a population cap too, but that it's interesting because our population in the city of Baltimore is 950,000. I think we're under 600,000 now. So it changes. A lot of jurisdictions have wrestled with the population cap for issuing new liquor licenses. So that is a thing. So when you're going to apply in your local jurisdiction, it'd be helpful to know, particularly for packaged goods stores, if licenses are available and what the population cap is. It shouldn't be a hindrance for the most part to transfers, but you never know. And you really want to ask those local authorities, hey, I've identified this license. It's a packaged goods store. I'd like to move it to X district or Y district. Can I do that? Or is there a population cap that will prohibit me from doing that? Great question. All the things you need to be thinking about when you're applying for a liquor license at the local level.
Good. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Stick around in case there's any others, please.
Of course. Oh, and Jeff, 1,200. That was the number of liquor licenses in Baltimore City.
I thought that might have been it. Wasn't 100 on that, but gotcha. Thank you. Okay, so just a couple of other things. What's interesting about the alcohol industry is, again, to beat this drum, there are manufacturers, there are wholesalers, there are retailers, but there are a lot of other businesses that offer some support as well, or maybe other ways that you can be involved in the business without having to be in one of those three major tiers. One of these is, and this would be perhaps if you are a retailer and you want to have a festival, you want to participate in something, your community is doing some kind of an event and you want to participate, there are a variety of festival permits where you can get at a very temporary basis, have these issued. They're fairly inexpensive. They are issued by your local boards, generally speaking, although we have the capability of issuing some also at the state level, which allow you to attend, again, a very temporary event. So that's one other element that might supplant or enhance your existing license. Promoters permits. If you're a solicitor and you're trying to make sales of products, you're going to need a permit. If you want to, and that's another avenue of business, if you want to be a promoter for people, you want to hold events and send models out perhaps to talk about a brand or a product, those types of licenses exist. And again, it's another way of being kind of around being in the business without having to be in the business day to day. And caterers licenses. There are a couple of different kinds of caterers licenses. There are ones that you can get from your local licensing board, which give you a very limited area geographically speaking that you may use this license, but it is issued by your local board, and they're typically issued to restaurants who already have a license that exists in a certain jurisdiction. But there's also a statewide caterers license, and these are for people who, well, quite frankly, as the name would indicate, have catering businesses that are statewide. And that allows you to sell not only your food product, but to provide alcohol as well and to serve that. So there are just a wide variety of these businesses. And if you're just not sure, call us up, ask us, tell us, I should say, call us up and tell us what it is you think you'd like to do. We'll let you know what exists and how we might best direct you. And even when it comes time, perhaps, for your local board to get involved, if you're not sure who to go to, contact us. We're more than happy to make that connection for you, that introduction, so that you can get serviced rather quickly. Mike, can we advance? And just generally speaking, and Tom did a great job of letting you know now you're completely set up, except you don't have product. And one way is to buy from a licensed Maryland wholesaler and or manufacturer who's allowed to sell to you. That's one great way to do it. And on our website, we have a listing of all of our wholesalers and all of our manufacturers, so you can get their contact information from our database. But also there's something called a bulk transfer permit, which can be a very helpful tool. Specifically, someone has a business already, you're buying that existing business or that existing license, but the alcohol belongs to the original licensee. You can't just have it. But really, for a very small fee and for some, not a terrible amount of paperwork either, you can transfer all of that product in bulk from the previous license holder over to yourself. So that's one opportunity. A retail off-site permit, if you want to get involved in something that's not going to be at your store, again, a very temporary event or occasion, you can get an off-site permit. Individual storage permits are helpful if you just simply run out of room at your licensed location and you need a little bit more room to store product. That area, just for nothing more than storage, has to be licensed. We can help you with that. And every jurisdiction has some requirement for alcohol awareness certification. Somebody's going to have to go through that program. There's been a move recently to try and get all employees alcohol awareness certified. The General Assembly seems to be generally in favor of that, as does the industry, understanding constraints and difficulties of making sure you can get, having enough time to be able to get everybody up and running and being certified. But that's a really important point to all of this, is when you're being a responsible server, part of being responsible is knowing what to look for, checking to see if somebody's been overserved already and you're not going to contribute to that, how to resolve conflicts and things along those lines. So there's a big need for that. And that's something that we play a big role in as well. We certify the programs and we certify the instructors for those programs. And then the local boards are there to help you in any number of ways. They do compliance inspections. We partner with the local boards. And again, I mentioned earlier, and Jeff Herndon's going to take off on that in just a moment. But from an enforcement standpoint, with manufacturing and wholesale tier, we, for the most part, do all of the enforcement on that. But at the retail level, we share that with the local boards because it is a local board license that you have. They come in and do compliance inspections, means they're going to send somebody in underage and try to make a purchase. And it's your job to check ID and deny that service. But we're going to come in and do some inspections as well. Tom mentioned you have to buy from a licensed wholesaler. We're going to come by and take a look at your paperwork and make sure that you do that. We're going to give you guidance. This isn't about catching you do it wrong. Quite honestly, it's about helping to encourage you to do it correctly and to find you doing it correctly. That's our goal. That's our mission. Sometimes that's not what happens, but that's what we want. You're going to be able to get any amount of technical support from us or from your local boards as well. But when you don't do things correctly, you may find yourself subject to a hearing, which can have some impact on the license. So call us in advance always before you do something unusual, and we'll give you our best advice on how not to get in trouble if you can. If you do get in trouble, you're going to have to go before your local board at the retail level and answer to that. Mike, can we go forward a slide? Thank you. So with this, I'd like to introduce Jeff Herndon. And as Tom mentioned earlier, Jeff Herndon is the director of our Field Enforcement Division. That is our sworn agents, sworn police officers who really help to encourage you to be compliant by a series of inspections and investigations. But Jeff, please take it from there.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jeff Herndon. I am the director of our Field Enforcement Division. Sworn police officers that cover the state of Maryland from the West Virginia line out west to the ocean down at Ocean City to the east, and Pennsylvania, of course, to our north. We have a lot of areas to cover. You're watching or participating in this webinar today because you've decided that you, or at least you're thinking about entering the realm of the alcohol industry at the retail level, whether it be a liquor store, beer store, or even a restaurant. So I'll let you know what we've mentioned before, talking to the wholesalers and the likes and the manufacturers, that you are entering in probably one of the world's most highly regulated industries. It's a little bit different in a way that we have a lot of industries that are regulated in this country and in this state, but you guys are going to do it with very little to no training except what you seek out for yourselves. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you're a pharmacist, you're going to go to school and you know those regulations. If you're an electrician, you're going to go to school and you know what those inspections and regulations are going to look like. If you want to open up a restaurant or you want to open up a beer store and you have the right applications filled out, that's all the training you're going to get. But yet you're going to be faced with a bunch of regulations that you're going to have to follow. Tom Ackers pointed out earlier that we have so many regulations in the state of Maryland that we have statewide regulations, and we also have each jurisdiction has its own set of rules. So I say all of that just to let you know that it's quite manageable. It's doable. Use your resources. Use us for your statewide questions. Use your local jurisdiction. Rely on them heavily. Nobody keeps any of the regulations a secret. Most all jurisdictions print up manuals. Everything's available online, so that you can go through and follow the rules as it's intended. So with us, with what we'll do with our law enforcement officers, we make sure, or we try to make sure, that we tamper down the illegal manufacturing of alcohol. We try to prevent the illegal or importation of unauthorized alcohol. The transportation distribution about being licensed products, being licensed wholesalers, transporting the product. And then we also adhere to trade practice in the alcohol industry, and we work with our partners in our trade practice enforcement unit. There's the regulations that you must follow. So again, we don't have enough time in the day to go and tell you all the possibilities that you could do wrong, but I'll just let you know the ways that you can do it right. It's going to require a little bit of research, a lot of self-initiated. You'll have the local boards are also going to be a source of information for you for your regulations and their local inspectors. So when you open up your store, you open up your restaurant, you can plan on seeing the folks from licensing, the folks from enforcement and inspection. You're going to want to keep a couple things in mind as a new business. Records are vitally important. It's important that you maintain records, keep the records neat and orderly. You're going to want to purchase your products, like Mr. Kelly said earlier, only from authorized and legal wholesalers and producers. Once you get into the retail level, know that to follow the rules of service, meaning you can't tamper with bottles once they're opened. If you're planning on open up a bar and you want to do the different drinks and infuse your different liquor, know the rules and regulations around that. Also with the purchasing and the discounts when it comes from you as the retailer purchasing from the wholesaler. If you're going to be taking advantage of any manufacturing discounts, you have to make sure you abide by the rules and regulations of that when it comes to purchasing with caseloads. If you're talking to your company salesman, and they're allowed to come into your store and bring product in, but you can't put them to work for you per se. So you want to make sure that you follow those rules when it comes to the trade practice. So with that, we look forward to having everybody participate in a fair and equitable environment. Go ahead, Mike. So, and with that, we're going to be able to conduct our compliance inspections. We'll take action against any unlicensed sales. Know that we're going to work with the local liquor boards. And then on a note of that, with working with the local liquor boards, know that every business, whether it be retail with the packaged goods or retail with the restaurant business or bar, that license, that alcohol license is going to come with the restrictions on it. And it's also going to come with a licensee's name and or agents be listed on there. And those are going to be responsible. You're basically signing up and saying, I take responsibility for this license, and therefore I'm responsible with everything that happens on the premises. So just be aware of that as well, because it could be one of those where you have signed up for your license and your night shift isn't acting appropriately, but you're going to be the one that's going to be held responsible for that. So make sure that everybody has that proper training. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. Okay, Mike, go forward because now it's going to be really probably the most fun part of this whole thing is talking to our retailers. So first, Mike, I think we're going to queue up Jasper's and Kelly O'Brien, if we could, and everybody take a couple of moments to learn about Jasper's.
In every community, there's a place that feels like home, a place where you're greeted with warmth, where the staff knows your name, and where the energy is genuine and inviting. That's the kind of space Kelly O'Brien has created at Jasper's in Largo, a business built on relationships, resilience, and a deep love for the people it serves.
My name is Kelly Motley O'Brien. We are located in Largo, Maryland, and we're Jasper's Restaurants. It's a wonderful community-based business. We're super proud to be in PG County. This is where I'm from, and we're just really happy to be here after all these years. Our motto is in the spirit of fun, and we just believe in making people feel warm and welcome, have a good meal, have a couple laughs, and go home, and just really comfortable. Jasper's is a true community-based restaurant, and we're really proud of that. We employ 180 people. They're part of the community. Most of our customers are part of the community. We're very strict about IDs. We even have the physical book of what IDs are acceptable. We want to keep our customers safe. We want to keep the community safe, the roads safe. We want everybody to get home safe at the end of the night. We've been in Prince George's County for 24 years. So we've been here a really long time, and we've seen the county evolve. Whether it's a game day or if it's Sunday brunch, it makes your heart kind of sing. Just people buzzing around, happy, laughing, smiling. I mean, that's what we do. That's why we're here. I started out working for hotels when I was about 22, when they put me in charge. So I learned a lot going through that process of what it meant to be in a position of decision-making, and what you decide will affect your employees, will affect your customers, will affect your business. I love our staff, and same with our customers. We want people to have fun, and we want them to feel warm, you know, and just like almost like they're at home. And that's kind of what it's all about. It's taking care of our customers and taking care of our employees. I think restaurateurs make a huge mistake when they take the human factor out of it. You want people to feel good when they leave, and you want them to be happy. That's the whole point.
At Jasper's, Kelly O'Brien leads with heart. From longtime staff to loyal guests, she's built something lasting. A place grounded in hospitality, trust, and community. Businesses like Jasper's play a vital role in ensuring alcohol is served responsibly, safely, and with care, all while contributing to the vibrancy of life in Maryland.
So if we may then, I just have a few questions. First, though, I would just say, and Kelly, maybe this first one could be for you. What made you get involved in this to begin with? It's you run a big operation. It's a good operation in Largo. What made you get involved in it to begin with?
So the larger operation actually started with my parents. They started in 1981 in Greenbelt. We have a second location in Madrones, and that's more myself and my brothers. And when you were talking about the different districts and the two different counties, in Frederick, we actually, if it was okay if we came into their community, which makes perfect sense. So I've been in hospitality since I was 14. I left the restaurant business for almost 20 years to work for hotels and got pulled back into the restaurants. And I'm very happy that I'm back here.
And what challenges, and especially since
And
you're in two different jurisdictions, what challenges did you have when you were trying to get opened up?
so the biggest challenge in Frederick was we needed somebody to live there. That now we opened in 2012. It might be different now. We had to have a resident that lived there, and we were all new to the area. And they didn't give us a specific time period though, which was nice. And then just going, I mean, physically door to door to get signatures to make sure we were allowed to do business there. As far as our local commissions, I would say they're more similar than not. I did have one question for Frederick. You might not have the answer. Can you hear me
Yes.
okay? Okay. Um, we always had to keep 3 years of, I believe, bills from who we buy beverages from. And I think that's super important. We scan them into the computers now, but we make sure we can read them. I had one other, and we live and die by the beverage journal. I think any restaurateur, I mean, we have the physical copy in our office. Any restaurateur that doesn't do that is making a mistake, because it's very helpful to find what liquor you need, where to find it, and to make sure they're licensed. You know, you don't want to play with this. This is very serious. We take it seriously because our customers, you know, God forbid they leave and something happens. It would just be heartbreaking for everybody involved. So we also have, I think I said on the video, the physical ID book that sometimes when we break it out to customers, they do not believe that we won't take certain IDs. And we say, no, no, no. These are the IDs we can take, period. And it's really nice as a restaurateur to have those two resources available to us because we use them all the time.
If I could, Jeryl Cole, who is our retailer from Highlandtown, wonderful store. We were there Friday, and it's just a gorgeous place.
In Maryland, local businesses don't just serve their communities, they shape their neighborhoods. In Highlandtown, Jeryl Cole isn't just selling wine, beer, and spirits, he's building a place that reflects the community's dignity, culture, and future.
My name is Jeryl Cole. I'm the co-owner of Off the Rocks. Other owners, my wife. And Off the Rocks is a wine, beer, and now spirit shop in Highlandtown. We've been here since 2018, and we view ourselves as a community wine shop. My wife is from the Highlandtown neighborhood, and we thought, look, we're in Southeast Baltimore, why not open a business in your neighborhood? Our thing is that we are truly community driven. About 80% of our products are family owned, small production products, and we take pride in doing that. Look, I grew up in Northeast Baltimore where the alcohol establishments were all shorties and 40 spots or sold mass production brands. They had the plexiglass separating the retailer from the consumer, and we wanted to change that up. We wanted to bring in a community-driven shop where people felt respected, where people felt they can come here and get some knowledge and have a sense of community. We're responsible operators. We take that very serious. Alcohol is not a necessity. We can live without it. But as being an alcohol retailer, we take very much pride of it. Me and my wife and also our staff are required to go through training. You know, that's a part of being a great retailer. Specifically in Baltimore City, you can't just go down to the liquor board or city hall and say, hey, I want to open up a liquor store and here's a check for me to open up. That's not how it works. For the most part, for retail shops, you will have to purchase a business from someone that's selling or transferring a business from another location to the location you desire. It's very important to have a shop where everyone feels included, everyone feels respected. Again, talk about Baltimore City, this is where I grew up at, where liquor stores felt very grimy. They didn't feel very welcoming. So our shop was very important to be in touch with the consumer, to be able to shake the consumer's hand, to talk about and give knowledge of the products that we have. Not only just taking your money, right, but just having the experience of what you're buying. Really appreciate people that come in. You work 9 to 5, you have a celebration. You want to show your appreciation by keeping a clean shop, by keeping a welcoming shop. That's very important for us, not just for me and my wife, but also just important for the community to represent it very well. And it means a lot for me to be able to do business and a privilege for me to represent my family. And I believe that having opportunities to do business, having an opportunity to be a part of this community means a lot.
Through thoughtful retail and responsible choices, all guided by a deep love for family and Baltimore, Jeryl Cole is helping rewrite what alcohol service can mean for a neighborhood. One bottle, one conversation, and one corner at a time.
Jeryl, the same question to you is one, what inspired you to get involved? And then I think, like Kelly, what inspired you to get involved again by opening up a second and maybe even ultimately a third place?
Yeah, thanks. Hi, guys. My name is Jeryl Cole. I'm co-owner of Off the Rocks. What inspired me to get into this business? I have, like everyone, right? Two parents. Mom is from Baltimore, and dad is from Cleveland. My dad on the Cleveland side, most of his family came through the travels from Alabama back in times where people was moving north or moving to the Midwest for jobs and opportunities. And that particular side of the family came from Alabama, and they really didn't have a lot of opportunity in Cleveland. So they began being entrepreneurs by nature, and a lot of entrepreneurs, as far as like being in the bar business, being in the convenience store business, being just selling whatever, right, clothing or whatever. And so I've seen, I will go there every summer, and I would see my uncles or my grandmother in the convenience store or in a bar, and I was like, always took a notice of it, and I was like, hey man, I would probably like to do this one day. But then working throughout college, I played football in college and got a degree in political science. And while I think like junior year, I was like a super senior. So my fourth year of college is my junior year. I started working in restaurants and bars throughout college for the next 2 years. And when I came home, I had a plan. I said, man, I've been playing sports all year round my entire life since I was 9 years old. And the time when I'm no longer playing sports, I feel like I had a lot of time to create business plans, work a lot. And we came up, me and my wife came up with an idea of Off the Rocks, which is started as a wine and beer shop in 2018, where we specialize in small production, family owned wine and beer brands. And we serve wine by the glass, we serve draft beer, and now a spirit shop just recently, which is added to our addition to our license. And yeah, so it's a great time to I think to be an entrepreneur. I think there's a lot going on in the world where unfortunately there's a lot of layoffs, but I think the creative minds will find out how to do what they're passionate about. And for me, my passion was as far as just being in the service industry, but also the wine and beer and spirit industry as well.
Cheryl, can you tell me if throughout all of this, was there a point where you said, aha, I've got it. This is going to work for me, or maybe even more so, whether it works or not, I've got to do it. The reward is so significant, whether it was for you or for your community. Was there a point where either of those may have happened and you just knew at that point you had to continue?
Yeah, so I work for a lot of people. I work for a lot of good owners of retail and bars, and I work for bad ones as well, right? So I think my fair share of bad operators, as an employee, and for me, in my mindset, I'm a very competitive person. I've always been a leader and a captain for, since I was 10 years old on my sports teams. And when I seen retailers not doing a great job, but I enhanced their business by me working there, I was like, man, I got something going, man. I think I'm really good at this. I'm really good with people. I understand how to grow a business. I understand how to capture an audience. So when I did get a chance to work for a really great retailer in the Baltimore area, I was like, hey, this is it. This is what I want to do. So I had the opportunity to work with and work for great people. And I said, hey, man, if I can do this, I don't know if I can do it on a bigger scale as they're doing it, but I think I can do it in my community, and I can do it at a rate where I can control it and we can learn from it.
Yeah,
Can
outstanding.
I just say something
Yeah.
real quick, Gerald? First of all, the name is amazing. I was like, that is a terrific name for a business. And I'm an ex-athlete too, and I think there's something in there that, keeps us going, keeps because it's not the easiest business in the world, but that competitive nature of, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. I think is I think maybe there's a thread there between athletes, maybe, who knows, and running a business. So I look forward to coming to your restaurant because just the name alone, it's awesome. So congratulations.
Hey, thanks, Kelly. I appreciate that. I truly I do believe that we hire we don't have 100 employees, right? We at Off the Box we have a
You're
team
lucky.
we have a team of five, seven, including me and my wife. But we do get I tell you a lot of times for people that we hire is either artists, which they're very passionate about something,
Yes.
and athletes
Yes.
who are very passionate about something. So I
Yes.
find that people that's passionate about something doesn't have to be beer and wine. You have to be
Right.
passionate and live for something, and then you'll be really good at whatever you
And,
put your mind to.
and you can transfer
So
that and sink your teeth into it. So I'm looking
both
forward
of you
to it.
bring something else. Both of you bring something else as well, though. So I'll say the competitive spirit, certainly being athletes, understood, but you both seem to have a very deep sense of community as well. So how have the relationships with the community impacted how you run your businesses? Kelly, why don't you start?
So we have two restaurants. We have Madrone's, which is newer, but our real community restaurant is Jasper's. It's been here a very, very long time. I mean, the first one I think was in 1981 in Greenbelt. My mom wanted to open up a small breakfast and lunch place somehow, and they ended up with Jasper's, which was huge. Um, but especially the one in Largo where we are right now is, I believe, a true community restaurant. And that means everything because, we're not in a touristy area. I mean, we're outside of DC, but no one from DC is going to come, they're going to stay in DC. So it makes us really proud that not at least 90% of our customers are repeat customers and they know us, we know them. um it's just special. I think it just makes it really, really nice. And it also, I mean, we always want to do a good job, but it also wants us to work that much harder to make it better for the community and so we can be here another 25 years, hopefully. So we love it.
No, that's really important, and it's evident that you make that a goal because Tom and the gang when they were there said that it was incredibly
Yeah.
packed for a weekday Monday lunchtime crowd, and you had such a
Yeah.
big business. So you clearly make an impact on the community, who in turn wants to
Yes.
serve you. It sounds like so
Yes.
that's a good relationship.
Yes. And we're very
Jeryl, I
lucky.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, that is fortunate. And Jeryl, I know talking to you, you definitely want to impact your community. You mentioned community and family continually. Everything that you do has your family and your community threaded through it, whether it's your businesses that you're running and whether it's some of the activities you're involved in. How important is that
Yep.
community relationship to you?
Yeah, it's very important. I think family and community goes hand in hand. As I name Off the Rocks, that's a family name on my dad's side, and so it was
Oh,
important for us
wow.
to represent our family and community. Look, Baltimore has raised me. Baltimore has raised my wife, right? We've come through Baltimore City Public Schools. We both graduated from Coppin State. It means a lot for us to be able to be operators in Baltimore City. We know that it's a privilege. No one's guaranteed to be able to open up a business. No one's guaranteed to be successful, right? So
Mhm.
community is very important that we uh, always include them in whatever we do, right? Because if without them, we would not be around for the short time we are. It was just 7 years now, and people thought we were insane when I said, "Hey, I'm going to open up a beer and wine shop," and they're like, "Why would you open a beer and wine shop? Like, who's going to?" And me, look, I'm from Northeast Baltimore. My wife is East Baltimore. Our aunts and uncles and and parents is like, who drinks that much wine? So what are you guys doing? So it's about taking chances, about betting on yourself. It's about understanding who you are and what you want to do, and also your consumer and your customer base. So definitely a lot of research goes into it. I wouldn't recommend anybody just opening up shop without actually being in the business or understanding the business, understanding customers, or understanding the community. I think all that is very important when starting your business there.
So, do you have any words of wisdom to any aspiring entrepreneurs who might be looking at this as a business?
Yeah, words of wisdom. I think just have faith. And if you're a believer, have faith. I think that it's you have to have a great temperament for this business. I think you have to believe and you have to work. You have to put in the hours. Unless you're like in a area where business is booming, it's work. It's hard work. Like I said, like I think one of you guys mentioned, Baltimore has 600,000 people roughly. I mean, in a city where we could probably house over 1 million people. It's a lot of liquor establishments around, far as bars or restaurants or retailers. So I just think that putting in the work, understanding the business. There's no shortcuts in business. So you just gotta do it, right. You gotta get into it, and it's a long process. It's not a short, successful process, but it takes some time and it takes some grit. It takes some hard work. You know.
And Kelly, I'm going to ask you the same question. I'll say this, having seen both of your places independently, people should stop by. If you are thinking you might want to be in business, stop by either one of these places to see how it's done right, which sets the model up. But
Yeah.
Kelly, any words of wisdom that you might want to share?
I'm gonna follow Jeryl. I mean, first of all, you need to have grit to be in this business. It's everyone thinks restaurants or liquor, it just sounds so romantic and so fun. And it is fun, but it's a business at the end of the day. I think a lot of restaurateurs make mistakes. They don't have controls on inventory, just really, they don't, sometimes they just make money in spite of themselves. You really need to have controls. It is a business. You have to have systems set up, checks and balances. You have to have the proper training. And I really believe that your staff is everything. Um, I used to work for Marriott, and they had a saying that, you take care of the employees will take care of the customers, and the customers will come back. And I've never forgotten that motto because it's so true. And I've worked for some really wild operators before, and they're out of business for a reason. And I forget the statistics now. I know about 10 years ago, about 80% of restaurants went out of business within the first year of opening,
Wow.
only because they, you know, thought, hey, I can do this. You need to do your due diligence, your homework, make sure you are being a responsible operator. And like Jeryl said, the grit, it's very important.
No, that's great. That's all good advice. Thank you very much. Mike, do we have any questions that have come in that we should address? And if it isn't Mike, Diane or whomever might be asking.
Yes, you do have a lot of questions. And one question that I had was in the slides that Mike sent, are these videos embedded in that? If so, when they get the recording and the link to the recording and the slide presentation, they'll be able to see those.
Well, that'd be great.
Okay.
But
Mike
we
did a wonderful job. When he sent it to me, I was like, oh my goodness, this is really good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
we do have some questions here. Are there limited licenses in a county, or can we just apply for a new one anytime we may find a good location?
And that's one Tom kind of answered earlier. There, generally speaking, there are a limited quantity of licenses that can be had in each jurisdiction. Changes a little bit, but generally speaking, that is the rule.
And do we need to be a resident of that county, or does a resident of just being in the state work?
You need to be a resident of the state at the time of application.
Are there any resources to find out what licenses might be available in the open market?
Ooh, Tom, can you feel that?
Yeah, I would call, your local liquor board. They'll be able to let you know some of that information. A lot of that is within the private market. There are brokers of liquor licenses within each jurisdiction. So start with your local liquor board. They'll be able to point you in the right direction. But the local liquor licensing board is not the body that will sell you a license. That's strictly out on the private market when we're talking about transfer of licenses.
Okay, thank you. Do you need to be a Baltimore resident for 2 years for a transfer of liquor license as well?
You just need to be a resident of the state of Maryland.
All right. I applied and was granted a festival permit, but it was not as described here. I have a brick and mortar store, and we have been asked if we can set up and provide alcohol at some local events. According to everything I've seen and from what my local liquor board says, no such license exists. The festival permit specifically states only beer, wine, and liquor festivals sponsored by a nonprofit. Additionally, the farmers market aspect says 3 farmers market, but means only 3 times during the course of the year. No farmers market that I have contacted wants you only a time or two. They want you to sign up for this season. So that is not really a helpful permit. Any advice there?
First thought is I'm not sure what jurisdiction that is, and that might make a difference. I'm not 100% on that, but Tom, I don't know if you have a comment, or perhaps Alex.
Actually, I was going to pass the baton to Alex because of the retail off-site permit. Alex, you want to talk about that?
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that this particular question has to do with the retail offsite permit. It looks like just a miscommunication between the difference between the statewide nonprofit festival permit and then the sort of like per diem 1-day permits from the local liquor board. To the individual who posted this particular question, to do the best to answer your specific question, as I have some follow-up questions. If you want to send a more detailed question about this to our licensing team, we can help you out with that one. Generally, the answer to these questions are the different 1-day permits that are available from your local liquor boards vary from one to the other. And they also are different, as Tom talked about earlier, from what we have. So the requirement to be nonprofit to be able to have a 1-day permit, that could be different from one jurisdiction to the next. So we would just need a little bit more specific information to answer this particular question, which we can help you with just a little bit more information.
Alex, can you give an email address they might send it to?
Yep. The licensing email is atcc.licensing@maryland.gov.
Yeah, so please send in your question on that. We'll dialogue back and forth and see if we can help you or explain it better. But thanks for the question.
Thank you. And the last question is there are 2 more. The ATCC license and permit database, the best way to find an alcohol awareness instructor to teach the awareness certification?
Probably is. It might be. It's a great one-stop. It's a terrific database that has a wide variety of our license and permits types on it. Not retails, but all the ones that we do. And the alcohol awareness program is one that we would list. So it's probably a very good way. They can filter through that and just get a list of everybody. On our website, atcc.maryland.gov.
Okay.
And then there's going to be a database under resources, I think. Under resources
Okay.
on that first page, you'll see access to a database. And in that has
Okay.
everybody we license and permit, but you can filter it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a quick link on the homepage. If you just go right down the header, you'll see a license and permit database, and it'll go right.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Mike, with Diane's question, are these videos embedded in what she has?
They are, but when I send you, I'm going to send you the links. If you could include links to the YouTube videos, that would probably work better for most people.
Okay, and
Really hope
I
people
think
watch
I have those. I think Jessica sent me those, so but send me them anyway, and I'll make sure they're not duplicates and send that out today.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Certainly. And the last
any other-
question that we have here so far is, if you're starting a portable bartender business, do you have to get a 1-day permit for each event?
Well, it's its own individual, I mean, interesting question. So I'm not clear. I'm going to make an assumption here first. When they say a portable bartender business, I'm going to add a few facts, perhaps that this is someone who is a bartender who wants to just provide bartending services for someone. But because without something like a catering license, which has certain requirements of food service to alcohol service, there isn't such a license for us to let somebody just go out and serve and sell beer or any alcohol that they're bringing themselves. But they might be able to
My
hire themselves
mind,
out as a private
my mind
bartender.
just went completely blank because it's one of my sister's very, very best friends. Her family owns Dops, which is a distributor, but she started a mobile bar business. It's um it's really cool. I cannot believe I can't remember the name of it. They're gonna kill me. But they take old horse trailers and rehab them to the cutest little things you ever seen in your life. And they are hired by mainly weddings to pull up. I'm trying to think of the name and I just can't. They even have pop-up shops at the Annapolis Town Center. Um, but it's different than a catering slice because they don't sell food. Um,
If they're selling just a
so
service of providing it, that's one thing. But if they're providing the alcohol, then there
okay,
are some licensing requirements. But if they're just providing the service of having kind of a unique way of setting up a bar and
yeah,
providing the bartender servers, then that may be
okay.
okay. Yeah, that they
I'll have to find out. I'll check with her. I'll make sure she's in
yeah, or
compliance
have
too.
her call us and we'll help her.
I'm pretty sure she is. I mean, her family, they have a big distribution company, so, but I'll double check. I was like, wait a minute. So,
Good deal.
And Archie, if you got your question answered, that's fine. If there's any more to that question, please ask while we have everyone still here.
can I ask a question? I'm looking to purchase now that I'm not busy enough. 100-acre farm in Davidsonville where I want to run weddings out of. Um, it's zoned agricultural, and I know we can't get into it. It's a lot, but there's a step-up basis. You can have 8, I think now with a temporary license per day, but you can apply to get up to 30 a year. Have you guys heard of anything like that?
So that'd be Anne Arundel County.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would just say across state, if you would have a venue that is
Right.
not licensed for alcohol sales at all, that really
Right.
can be beneficial in this arrangement where you rent out the venue and then they hire perhaps a statewide caterer or
That's what I
someone.
want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's great. If you have a venue that's not licensed, that's great. If you have that
Right.
venue and you try to license it, then that complicates it a little bit when you want to hire
Yes.
a caterer to come on board. So just having a
Yes.
venue itself
I
is
don't want to do
actually
that.
that just having a venue is helpful.
Okay. So just if I own the venue and then I had a preferred list of caterers, they take care of all of the temporary stuff they need to do.
They
That
operate under
sounds
the
great.
caterer's license. Yep.
Perfect. That's what I want. Okay. Thank
And the
you.
list of those is available on our website as well.
I'm going to be on your website for a
Yeah.
long time.
It
Thank
sounds
you.
like your website is pretty comprehensive and includes all resources necessary, correct?
It does, Diane. It's constantly being built out. Kudos to Mike Wynn on that for us as well. It's a very
Oh, wow.
robust, interactive website. Has a lot of information.
It's super important. And I think a lot of restaurateurs, so I've been on the board for the Restaurant Association of Maryland for years. And I was like the secret COVID chairman or chairwoman because I was pregnant the whole time and nobody knew. And then we got back together and I was like, I had a baby. But a lot with the rules. And it's not that they're not trying, they just don't quite understand. So I'm going to be referring them to your websites just so they know because they want to be in compliance. They're
If
not
there's
trying to do.
if there's some kind of a meeting where they're all together and you want to have somebody give a presentation, we can try and work with you on something like that too.
I
If it has
would.
an investment.
So we have quarterly board meetings. I'll reach out. That would be a
Yeah.
huge help for
Happy
a
to do
lot
it.
of people. Okay.
Yeah, I think we can bring a lot of
Thank
expertise to
you.
that. Hit a lot of people at one time. Sure.
Yeah. And they need it, and they, because they're trying to do the right thing. It's confusing, it's overwhelming, it's all, okay. I'll
Good.
set something up. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, awesome.
Well, I think you've answered all the
Y'all
questions.
have been wonderful.
Good. Our pleasure.
All right, okay.
All right, thanks to everyone for joining today. Those in attendance, please reach out to any of the panelists for any questions you may have. And the panelists, thank you for another wonderful presentation, and I look forward to doing the series again.
Yeah. Thank you, Diane, very
Thank
much.
you,
Appreciate
Diane.
all your help.
Thank you guys. Nice meeting you guys.
Thanks, Gerald.
Thanks, Gerald.
Thanks, Kelly.
Appreciate you very much. Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeryl. I look forward to coming to your spot. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.